All right, so everybody, we're back with JR's winning perspective. That's the name of the podcast. And on that note, talking about winning, today we have with us the assistant swim coach from Florida Atlantic University, Ryan Bubb. And so, Bubb, we thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me on, JR. Looking forward to a good discussion.
Yeah, so and I've been really, we talked about doing this podcast probably 2 or 3 months ago when I was on the
Yeah.
pool deck there one day before I left FAU, and I've always kind of looked forward to this because you're an athlete, and you grew up as an athlete, a competitive athlete, and now you're actually a coach at a university of a team composed of individual athletes. And that whole dynamic has always been something that kind of fascinates me, is that dynamic, right? And so I've been looking forward to this. So if you don't mind, I do want to ask you one thing and then take your time to answer this because it's very complex and a lot of people may find it interesting to know. But one, what is your role at FAU? And with that, what does your average day or week look like as a collegiate swim coach?
Yeah, that's like you said, take your time because that is a long answer, and I will try not to take up the entire time with that. But um, honestly, I think when you boil it down, the what I want to do and my purpose is to be a leader and example for people, for young men and women. There's a lot of club opportunities, age group opportunities, a couple professional, but not as common in swimming, obviously. And I could go basically, wherever in the world and coach swimming. But I really wanted to coach college because I think that as a collegiate student athlete, this is probably the time in your life where you're going to have the most transformation as a
Okay.
human being, as a person. And I love being a part of that process. And I think that my parents always taught me growing up. They said, well, if you want to make changes in the world, you've got to change. So you got to change yourself. You got to start with yourself, and then you affect the life of one person, then that affects the life of another person, who affects the life of another person, and I get to be in this role where I get to be involved in the lives of young men and women on a daily basis. Um, and this is what I always tell them, and I tell their parents when I'm recruiting them. You come in a high school boy or a high school girl, and by the time you leave, like, you are a man or a woman who is ready to take on the responsibilities of life, and who is ready to make their community a better place, ready to make their family a better place, hopefully ready to make the world a better place. And I think that that's like the biggest honor that I could have in somebody's life, being able to journey with them, and help guide that journey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like that more than maybe sometimes like an age group role where you're dealing with younger kids. Is that I'm not babysitting you. I'm
Okay.
I'm going to allow you to fail sometimes because you have to learn on your own. But if and when you fail, then I will be there for you, and we're going to
Okay.
learn from it, and we're going to be better from it. And I just think that just the transformation that you have when you're in college, 18 to 22, you come in, you have no idea who the heck you are because mom and dad
Good
did
point.
everything for you, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Family did everything for you. Some people are in a less fortunate situation where they had to grow up a little bit sooner. Swimming, particularly, a little bit more of an affluent sport. So sometimes, uh, more family oriented.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, it's coming in and finding out who you are, uncovering who you are and what you want to be, is just, it's a beautiful thing to watch somebody who comes in as a freshman and they don't know which way is up and which way is down or how to cook an egg, and then they're leaving as a senior and they've got a great job, and maybe they have a serious significant other and they're going to go start a family, and that's really special to me. So um, I mean, that's not my day to day, but that's really
But
my purpose.
I guess what you're talking about is, so a lot of times I would see you on the pool deck with the whole swim team out there, and you're barking and you're yelling, what the next set's going to be, whatever. But kind of what I maybe, if I'm reading between the lines here, you do have a lot of sometimes just one-on-one conversations with your athletes where you're helping to coach them individually in life. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we love to do. Now, there are some situations being at a smaller school, with a little bit less resources. A larger SEC school has 6 to 8 coaches on deck. Well, we have 2 to 3 coaches on deck, right? So
Gotcha.
um, unfortunately, it does not always allow for those kinds of one-on-one conversations as often as we would like. But as a coaching staff here, I know that that's one of our really big emphasis as well. Is like, this is what we want to do, because when I'm working away and I'm working on recruiting, or we're working on budgeting, or we're working on travel plans or whatever, and somebody comes in, they sit on my couch and they have a conversation, and even just the presence is like it's refreshing, it's restorative to us as coaches, because it slows us down. It's like, oh, this is why I do what I do. This is what I love to do.
Gotcha.
Is this you and me here together? And I think that on the swimming side, being up on deck and maybe a little bit tough and barking out orders or whatever, I think that swimming is also a conduit, which we can use to help our young men and women in our care grow,
Yep.
because this is the first time in your life that you're going to have to learn how to work on your own, and you're not going to have somebody over your shoulder all the time saying, hey, do this homework, or do it this way. Like, you really have to find within yourself if this is what you want to do, or if it's not what you want to do. But if it is what you want to do, you have to dig really, really deep to get that next level, to have that type of discipline. And so, hopefully the lessons that we teach about the toughness, the discipline, carry throughout the rest of your life. I mean, I know that I pride myself on being a hard worker, and I know that that's because of swimming, and growing up that way, and swimming in college, and um, I I wouldn't want it to be any other way. I want to be a hard worker, and I pride myself on that.
So I'm just curious, say on a week when you're not traveling, how many hours a week do you think you work just doing work for FAU as a swim coach on a week that you're not traveling?
Um, well, usually I'll arrive at about 5:45, 5:30 a.m., somewhere in there.
Okay.
I always try to take time for myself, get a workout in. I always try to do a little bit of swim, 45 minutes swim, maybe 45 minutes of lifting in the day. It's nice that my job is a little bit more flexible, is where I can plan those out
Yep.
when I do those. Right now, we're kind of in a little bit of a lull right now. We're picking up on 2025 recruiting. We're finishing up on 2024 recruiting, and then 2026 recruiting is going to start. So I'm getting to get home a little bit earlier, usually like 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Okay. But
In the
you get to work early though. You're at work before 6 a.m.
Yeah, yeah,
for
practice
sure.
starts at 7. So practice
Okay.
starts at 7. So yep. This year, I'm in between recruiting, travel planning, all of that kind of stuff. I could be at the office till 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night sometimes. Um,
So let's say you a week where you are traveling. How many hours would you guesstimate your total work time is during those weeks?
I mean, if I'm below 60, that's a pretty good week for me.
Isn't
If
that
I'm below
wild? Okay.
60, like that's like I'm having some time to myself below 60.
Yeah. Now the reason I bring that up is because there are a lot of people that who have not been exposed to the sport world, and these they see life differently, and for them, working 40 hours a week is like already a lot, right?
Right.
And if they had to work 5 hours of overtime, they're like, "Whoa, I just cannot handle it." But you're sitting here telling me that 60 hours a week may be on the low side.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, it's because I absolutely love what I do. So on Saturday mornings, some people go golfing, right?
Yep.
That's what they love to do. That's their hobby. Well,
Okay.
coaching swimming is not just my job, it's also my hobby. Instead of going golfing on Saturday morning, I love going to practice, right?
Yep.
Instead of traveling to go do this or that, I love traveling to a meet. I love doing those things. We got back from San Antonio a couple weeks ago. We were in San Antonio for 5 days, at a really big meet, kind of an Olympic trials prep meet.
Okay.
And it was awesome. I love watching fast swimming. I love being there with my student athletes. And so it's maybe a little bit skewed because I do love what I do to the point where it's the hobby as well as the job. So I get my two in one there. So
No, I totally get it. Totally get it. Now, more on a personal note, I want to kind of veer away a little bit and kind of talk about Ryan Bubb for a moment. I don't know. Could you share with us, about your swimming background? Take us through kind of like your biography of swimming, if you will, how it started, and then where you went to school and college, and how did it all play out? The high points, if you don't mind.
yeah, I feel like I have a very unique path to where I am here today. Started swimming when I was very young. I think that one of the things that I'm always incredibly grateful for, was that my parents were so incredibly supportive.
Okay.
But never once did they make me go to a practice. Never once they make me do anything I didn't want to do.
Very
Now, the
good.
days I didn't want to go to practice, they would remind me of what my goals were. And they would
Okay.
say, well, if you want to be a state champion in high school, you probably shouldn't miss today. But if that's not what you want to do, then that's okay. And I
Hmm.
knew that that was okay for me. Like it was not them wanting me to be a state champion or whatever the case may be. It was them giving a gentle reminder saying, hey, if you want to do this, then you have to do this, right?
Yep.
They were always there to drive me to practice, early mornings, late night practices, whatever the case may be. So I think, one of my pleas to parents all across the world, is that there's so many parents that my kid's going to be an Olympian, they're going to be an all-star,
Yeah.
they're going to get a college scholarship to do their sport. But honestly, like the unfortunately, I've seen many of those in my 10 years of coaching college almost,
Yeah.
and usually they don't make it to the end.
Isn't that
Um,
wild? Yeah.
it's sad because it's something that maybe they love, or maybe that they just don't know any different, or they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So I always urge a lot of patience on the parent side, and it's got to be the decision of the kid. Like, to swim was my decision, and I knew
Yeah.
that swimming was one of the hardest sports out there, and to put your body through the pain and suffering that you go through to drop 1/10 of a second
Yeah.
is insane in the sport of swimming. And so, I was very lucky growing up to have parents that were very supportive like that. I went to Lincoln East High School back in my hometown. I actually kind of transferred schools. Made that my high school decision based off of the swim team there. Very
Where are you
fortunate.
from? Where are you from originally, Bub?
Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln, Nebraska. Okay.
Lincoln, Nebraska. That's right. Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, I've never met anybody from Nebraska. Here you go. Here
Yeah.
I am.
So that's where you went to high school. Okay.
Yep. Yep. I was fortunate enough to be a state champion a couple times, a couple times state record holder. Um, Great teammates, great coach there, great support. And then I went to Ohio State, where I swam collegiately for 4 years.
The
Um,
Ohio State.
the Ohio State
The
University.
Ohio
That's
State. I
right.
love it. I love it.
That's right. I had a pretty successful career there. Dropped some time. Swam Big Tens. Never swam NCAA's, but I did get to swim Olympic trials in 2012. I swam Olympic trials in Omaha in the 200 fly.
Okay.
Um, and then,
That's
you
hard.
know,
So was the fly your stroke?
yeah. Well,
Wow.
I I was a sprinter going into college. I was
Okay.
like 50 free, 100 fly, 100 free, kind of my jam.
Okay.
Um, and then I get to Ohio State, and what's really hard to describe to people is the level of competitiveness that exists at a school like Ohio State, like a
Can
Big
you,
Ten school, SEC school.
all right, try to explain that to us because you're getting into something that kind of fascinates me. Go, feel free to expand on that.
Um, the level of mentality is
Okay.
different.
Okay. How so?
Um, so as an athlete, I always prided myself, and as a human, I pride myself on my work ethic. Right? I said
Okay.
I'm going to outwork you every single day because I want to be better than you. Right?
Okay.
That's my goal. My goal is to be better than you, and I know I can do that by outworking you every single day. The
Okay.
problem is at Ohio State, there were 50 guys that said that exact same thing to you every single day,
Wow.
and they were not going to be outworked. And I was multi-time state champion, state record holder, coming out of Nebraska. And one of my first college memories is the team is traveling to Purdue, and I'm sitting at
Okay.
home
Really?
because
You didn't make the traveling
even
team.
I did not make the travel squad the first day or first travel squad to Purdue. I remember it like it was yesterday, and so I went up to my coach and full of pride, I said, "Coach, I'm sorry, I'm never going to let that happen again. Like, I'm not going to be left home. What do I have to do to make sure I'm never left at home again?" He looked at
Okay.
me and he says, "Good. I was looking for a 200 flyer." So from that day forward, I was a 200 flyer. But
That's
that's
pretty
but
good.
that's also part of the mentality of being at a school like that is if I have to change everything about what I do, I'm going to do that because I want to be the best. I want to help my team win. I want to help my team be the best, right?
So you
Um,
were able to pivot pretty much on the dime in order to succeed.
yeah, because that's what it called for. You had to.
Okay.
If I had said, no, I'm going to stick to the 50-300 fly, I would have been sitting at home for a long, long time.
Isn't that
Um,
wild? Because you look at people in life, whether whatever profession they have or whatever they're going down this path, right? And they're so rigid. They, for whatever reason, it's hard for them to maneuver in life and make these small changes or big changes in order to modify and adapt, right? So they can make it to get that next promotion or whatever it is, right?
yep,
But here you did it at the age of 18, 19. You
yep,
made a decision, I'm going to change.
yep. And I always say, like, one of my big overarching themes is change is hard. Like, I don't think that there's anything in life that's harder than change,
Why
right?
do you say
And
that?
well, when as coaches, like we understand what the overall vision is. We
No.
understand where the program is and where we want it to be. Now, if we want to make a change, we have to in our hearts be able to have the patience to know that that change is going to take time, because even if it's a change, a positive change, there's still going to be resistance because it's uncomfortable.
Wow. Okay.
Making that change is going to get everybody out of their comfort zone, right?
Okay.
And it's something as simple as, oh, on Wednesdays, instead of we're going to take out a swim practice and we're going to add yoga, okay?
Okay.
And that's a big change because for so many of these kids, they say, well, I practice 2 days, 5 times a week, and I can't miss a swim practice because like all I know is swim, 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 swim. Like,
Yeah.
well, we know that yoga is good for you. We know that as a swimmer, flexibility is great for you. We know that it can help prevent injuries, so be a little bit of prehab, right?
Yep.
Um, but there's resistance when that comes because they say, well, this is how I've always done it. This is how I found success. Why would I change that?
Interesting.
Even though the coaches know and the student athletes know that it is for the better, but it's hard, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to wrap your heart around. Um, and so I think that um, your willingness to change comes from your goals and the desires that you have.
Hmm.
Um, I was willing to change instantaneously because I knew how it felt to get left at home, and I never wanted that to happen again. I didn't like that
Now,
feeling.
did that help you for the rest of your career at the Ohio State University?
Yeah, no, I think I think switching events like that was positive for me. I ended up actually even swimming the 100 back, which I was never a backstroker either.
Really? How
Um,
about that?
but that's just what the team needed, right? Um, on the other side of that, and I will, and I know that we might talk about this a little bit later on too, is that there are drawbacks of that mentality as well.
How so?
Uh, when I got to my senior year, I was so burnt out
Really?
that it was it was hard to get myself to practice. It was hard to push that extra one that you get in there as a freshman and you're like, yeah, I'm going to do 2 hours a day extra, or I'm going to stay 40 minutes a day extra after practice, whatever.
How many meters were you swimming a day as a senior, if you had to guess?
If we swam less than 10K, that was a short day with less than 10K.
That's wild. All right,
So
go on. I was just curious. Just
yeah,
curious.
no, it was a lot. There was a time on
That's a
training
lot.
trip, I think we were adding up 14 or 15,000 yards a day.
That's
Uh,
crazy.
yeah, it was a lot. I
But
think
you're
it
at the
was
upper echelon of swimming, though.
yeah,
At Ohio
we were a
State.
top 10 team. Yeah, we were a
Yeah.
top 10 team. Um, and my the head coach's mentality was volume, which
Really.
there's a lot of research on volume versus not, and other stuff we can go on into, but you know, um, I was burnt out. Like end of my senior year, one of my honest biggest regrets is I got done with Big Tens my senior year,
Okay.
and my coach said, "Hey, you're going to go to a last chance meet." So in the swimming world, for those of you who are not familiar, you basically get to go fast 2 times per year.
Okay.
Everything else is practice. Everything else is swimming tired. So in track, you can taper for a couple days, 2, 3, 4 days. You rest up. Swimming, you can taper up to 3 to 4 weeks
Okay.
because that is just the grind that you put on your body.
Hmm.
And so I went to Big Tens my senior year. I was what they call on the bubble to
Okay.
making NCAA's. Basically, the short end of the short version of the story is that they take about 32 people in each event. You have to be the 32 fastest people in the nation in each event to go to
Okay.
NCAA's. I was right outside that. And I was so burnt out after Big Tens. I didn't take care of myself. I didn't um, take my nutrition seriously. I didn't take the
Hmm.
practices seriously. For this last chance meet, which was about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks after Big Tens, which is my
Okay.
last chance to ever make NCAA's, um, because I didn't have it in my heart. I couldn't.
Yep.
Um, and I remember watching my buddy Garrett, one of my very dear friends. I love him to death, and we were swimming the 100 back at Georgia Tech, and we go the first 25, we flip off the wall, and I come off the wall, and I'm doing my underwater kicks, and I'm looking at Garrett swimming away from me, and I said, he's making NCAA's, and I'm not. And
Wow. That's
Garrett
what you
looked at
said in
me,
your head.
because at the first turn he was 3/4 of body length ahead of me, but he did
Yep.
what he needed to do. He took care of himself, and he, you know, he was in a better spot than I was at
Hmm.
that point. Which
Interesting,
is,
Bob.
it's honestly like one of my really big regrets in life. But even I look back and I don't know how I would change it either, because I got
Well,
to
it
a point
major
where,
learning experience, though, right?
yeah, for sure, yeah, I had gotten to a point where if I would smell chlorine, my stomach would start churning because I was like, oh my
Really?
gosh, oh, just thinking about it. And so, um, I think resting the body, resting the mind are very important, and we try to work
Hmm.
that in a lot with what we do. And I know that we'll talk about some of that kind of topic later on, but
So, I mean, you
the
left Ohio State. How did you end up in the swim coaching world, which is a world in and of itself?
yeah, so I have a degree in art and technology. So
Okay.
originally, my career path was going to be to go out to LA or something like that, and do some set design. I did a lot of animation, all of that kind of stuff. I kind of wanted to get in the movie biz. Um, I went home to Nebraska to save up some money,
Okay.
and some people started calling me, and they'd say, "Hey, we heard you're back in Nebraska. Our team needs a coach. You want to come coach our team?" And kept getting these calls, and I was like, no, like I'm done, nothing like that. And finally, one time, I'm just like, all right, you know what? I'll coach the team, but like 2 years, I'm out. I'm leaving. This is just to make money. And I actually started swimming again myself at that point.
Okay.
Um, and I would just swim on my own at the YMCA. But I was very fortunate to coach on the club team with Eric Weichen, one of my mentors, who really brought me up in swimming and was
Okay.
a great mentor to me in swimming, coaching as well. And then I had the pleasure of coaching one of the best high school teams in the nation. We were women's team was top three both years I was there in the entire
Wow.
nation.
In the
We
entire
broke
nation.
in the entire nation. We broke every single school record or every single state record except for one. Only one
Wow.
school state record we didn't break. So during that time, I was training myself. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to make Olympic trials again.
Okay.
And that was pretty cool because both trials were in Omaha. It was with family. It was a very cool experience. And so in 2012, I swam 200 fly. 2016, I swam the 50 free. So I kind of
Okay.
went back to my roots after college and started sprinting again. Um, but couple moments that I knew that I was going to be a coach, and it's not a job, it's a calling, right? You can't
Okay.
be being a coach if it's what you do to make a living, and I mean we don't get paid that much as swim coaches anyway. So,
Yeah.
but if it's not a calling, you're doing a disservice to the young men and women under your care, I think.
Okay.
But couple examples of when I knew that I was going to be coach. There was one example. The swimmer that we had, her name was Alana Palmer, and she was phenomenal swimmer, amazing swimmer, just wonderful young woman. And she swam the 200 free at state. She dropped like 3.5 seconds, something absolutely crazy. And so another mentor of mine, Leanne, she was the head coach for the team that I was the assistant coach for. We were both on the side, and we look up at the scoreboard, and we just start going nuts because she broke a state record by like a second and a half. It wasn't even close. Like she
Wow.
absolutely shattered the state record. And so
Okay.
I'll never get this out of my mind. She looks at the scoreboard. She looks at us. She looks at the scoreboard. She looks at us. It's like, what? We're like,
Yep.
you did that! Like, you did that! You just broke the state record! Like, and just the emotion that overwhelmed her, like
Yeah.
when she realized that, like, all of her hard work had paid off in this moment.
Yeah. Hmm.
Like, it was so cool to me as a coach because she's so humble and she's so grateful. And to experience a moment like that, like to share those types of successes with these young men and women, it's just there's nothing like it in this world.
Pretty
Um,
wild.
Absolutely wild. And then I had probably one of the more unique experiences in 2016 swimming
Okay.
at Olympic trials because I actually swam with two of my athletes that I coached on that team. And I just remember one of the other student athletes on the team. Her name was Olivia. I adore Olivia. Super hard worker. Went to NC State. Really, really great collegiate swimmer. But I was talking to her before a race, and she had the 100 breast coming up, and I said, "Listen, like all the hard work is done. You get to go out, enjoy the fruits of your labor. You're in your home state. Um, there's 18,000 people here. 16,000 of them are here to watch you because you're from Nebraska. Like this whole deal." And I'm like, just enjoy it. Go out there and look up in the stands and just know that like these are the things that you've accomplished. And I remember she came down the stairs after a race and she just turns ghost white. She's like, "I think I just forgot everything." But to be able to share in that kind of funny moment, and she had another race, so she got to calm down a little bit more before that one. But to share those moments with people is just I don't know. There's nothing like it in this world. Um,
How'd you end up
so
at FAU?
So I coached a small NAIA team in Nebraska.
Really?
Very
An
fortunate.
NAIA team?
NAIA, yep. So it's a separate entity from the NCAA.
Yep, yep.
Or smaller private schools kind of thing.
Hmm.
I actually started the program. And shout out to Dave Gillespie for letting a 24-year-old start a collegiate program
Yeah.
because I feel like I didn't have any idea what I was doing, but I was going to do it. um,
Okay.
so coached at Midland University for 4 5 years. Um, had a lot of enjoyed a lot of success there. Both teams ended up top five in the nation before I
Wow.
left. And then
So you did something right then, Bub,
something. I don't know if I
right?
got lucky or if I did something right.
No, but you must have because you cultivated the interest, and here you established the teams, and then you had success with those teams.
Yeah, I had a great support network. I think
Okay.
it's important to surround yourself with like-minded people. I mean, my parents, from the very first stroke I took to, I mean, they came to conference this year with the team.
How about that?
Like, so to have that kind of support is absolutely incredible. My wife's always helping out, and she's helping with social media posts and all that kind of stuff. But
Well, that's
um,
cool.
um, it was a heck of an experience. We had an incredible team, and actually, two of them are getting married. My former swimmers at Midland are getting married in to each other in June, and
How
I'm
about
going
that?
to another former swimmer's wedding in July. So um, that feels to me like I've made it. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like the these incredible people are going out and starting families and getting married. Like that's amazing. I got to be a part of their journey. So grateful, so thankful for all of that.
Now, did you leave there and then go straight to FAU, or did you go somewhere else and then FAU?
Yep, straight to FAU after that, and been here. This was the end of my third season,
Okay.
and absolutely just having a blast. I mean, this team is incredible. The young men and women on this team are
Yeah.
second to none. Like just great people and hard workers, and very very blessed to get to be a part of this.
It's a pretty cool thing being a coach, right?
It's it's a calling. It's got to be a calling. It's There's no other job like my job. I have the best job on the face of the planet.
That's good to hear. Um, Now I want to take a detour, more of a, I guess, more of a look inside, if you will. Um, so, when you are looking at athletes and you're recruiting, what have you, for your swim team there at FAU, what's the mindset? I might even include characteristics in there as well, but mindset characteristics. What is it that you're looking for when you're recruiting? Because I'm sure there's a different mindset that exists in the collegiate athlete, right, versus just the normal college student, correct? Or university
Absolutely.
student. So, what is it that you're looking for in that individual?
Yeah, I think what the message that I like to send is that there is a place for everybody in collegiate
Okay.
sports. I think that uh, the level of commitment that you want to have is always going to be there. Whether that's maybe NAI or Division III that have some very competitive programs, and then there's also some more recreational programs, right?
Okay.
So I think that there's a wide array because I encourage as many people as possible to participate in collegiate athletics. I think it helps with time management, it helps with discipline. You have a built-in support network with your friends, with the coaches, all of that kind of stuff. So I just want to start this out by saying, even if what we're talking about for what I'm looking for at FAU, which is,
Hmm.
on the verge of being a top 50 program in the entire country, um, you don't have to have that level of commitment to enjoy collegiate athletics as well.
For sure. For sure.
But what I'm looking for in swimmers, and I'm a pretty open book. I tell them this. I tell them all this stuff, and they can take it or leave it. But I have one big question that I ask you, and I look for your answer. I say, how do you feel about swimming? What is your relationship like with swimming? And if your immediate answer is not, I love swimming, I love going to practice, I love my friends, I love going to meets, I love competing, and I love working hard. If that's not your immediate answer, you're like, sometimes it's hard to get up in the morning, and sometimes it's, hard to get to practice. Well, this isn't the place for you.
Wow.
Um,
So,
because
so in a
frankly,
way, you're kind of a hard ass, then, aren't you? You're looking right at if that's the question, you're looking for that answer, and if they deviate, you're kind of like already like, I don't know.
well, it's not even for me and the coaches. It's for the health of the team, and it's
Oh,
for the health of that particular individual, right?
okay.
Because what we do here, and the amount of hard work and dedication and discipline that it takes to be a swimmer at FAU, or to be a Division I swimmer, or to be a Power 5 swimmer, which is another level even entirely, right?
Okay.
The dedication, if you don't love what you do, you won't make it.
Mm.
That is the plain and the simple truth. You will not make it 4 years, right?
Sounds like a lesson for life too.
It is absolutely a lesson for life. If you do not love what you do, you're not going to be able to be successful at it, right? Now,
Okay.
for those people who are like, I don't like getting up in the mornings, morning practice really isn't my thing, whatever. There's programs in there that train once a day. There's programs that train 3,000 meters, 3,000 yards a day, and that's okay because I believe that there's a time and place for you to enjoy that part of your craft, right?
Hmm.
We want to enjoy our craft, and we also want to win.
Yeah.
That's
Say
like
that. Say that again. You want to enjoy your craft, but you also
want to win.
you
We want to
want
win.
to win. Okay.
We want it bad. Yep. And if you don't love what you do, it's going to be really hard to win. It's
Very
really
interesting.
hard because being a champion, there's a reason why not many people get to call themselves champions. There's a lot of different ways you can be a champion. Don't get me wrong, right?
Okay.
But as far as putting your hand on the wall first or hoisting that team trophy,
Hmm.
there's a reason that is such an exclusive club because the people that do those things know what it takes. They know how to work just a little bit harder. They know
Hmm.
how to be just a little bit more dedicated. They know how to be a little bit smarter at what they do, right? And that's not success that everybody gets to enjoy.
How do you find that though in the individual? I mean, you just said kind of you asked this one question, but beyond that, I mean, you're kind of looking at the psyche of an individual too, about what makes them tick when
Right.
there's pressure, when their back's against the wall, right?
For
I mean,
sure.
how do you find that in this 18-year-old kid that you really don't know?
That is the question of the day. Uh,
Okay.
if anybody knows the actual answer to that question, let me know. I have my best
Well,
guesses.
how do you go about that then? I mean, because you do this for a living. So
Yep.
what's the process, or what are the things that you look for as you're going through this decision making process, and you're looking at these 20 athletes, but you're only going to get three of those, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you and Coach Lara do that at the end of the day?
I think. Well, I think that it starts with swimming. We're pretty lucky that we don't have to watch like hours and hours and hours of video to like find somebody that is proficient at what they do.
Okay.
We start the times are pretty black and white for us.
Okay.
This time is going to help our team. This time is not going to help our team, right?
Okay.
So for us, like the times are kind of the foot in the door. So
Okay.
we have motivational times that we've posted up on our website. We've made those, very well known. Hey, like keep working towards these goals. Here's what I want you to hit. I want you to have 3 or 4 of these times because this is, if we want to be conference champions, this is what we have to do. This is what we have to go, right?
Okay.
Um, so we kind of have that as the first milestone.
Okay.
And then, after we pass that milestone, then it's the recruiting calls. So we'll have calls with you, we'll have Zooms with you, we'll talk with your parents. I try to call pretty much every coach if I have the ability to
Hmm.
uh, call the coach, ask what you like, even further references if I can get them.
Okay.
But I think people would be surprised with how many coaches talk to each other, how many
Small
coaches.
world, right?
It is a
Small
very
world.
small world. So people that think that they can hide by not, giving out their coach's phone number really can't. But we ask the coaches, and we ask about leadership. We ask about interpersonal relationships.
Mm.
How you treat your parents is very important to me. If
Why is
we're
that?
having I think it's a respect thing for me.
Okay.
If we're sitting on a Zoom and mom is asking a question and you're rolling your eyes and you're trying to shush her,
Hmm.
well, to me that indicates, hey, you think you know everything, but by the way, I probably know less than your mom because she's been on this earth longer and she has more experiences than I do. So I'm trying to listen to that, right?
Good
Um,
insight. Okay.
So, how you treat your parents is very big to us, and how you treat your peers. I always ask, I don't even need your coach to say, hey, you're team captain, you're the greatest leader. But there's a way in which everybody has the ability to lead, whether that's, by example. Some people are vocal leaders, some people are classroom leaders, some people are social leaders, getting everybody together and creating those team bonding environments, right?
Okay.
So I want to know like what you're going to bring, the intangibles that you're going to bring to the team, because we already have the times. We know what swimming aspects you're going to bring to the team. We want to know the intangibles, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so that's kind of where we have to put on our best inference caps,
Yep.
because a lot of people can present themselves very well, as
Yep.
I'm sure that anybody who's ever conducted an interview knows. Excuse me.
No, you're good. You're good.
And you know, and then a lot of times we'll have you on an unofficial or an official visit,
Yep.
where we meet the team, and then um, one thing that I do tell everybody, but sometimes many people seem to be surprised about, is that on Monday mornings we ask your host, will this person be a good fit for our team? And
Wow.
if our host goes, all they want to do all weekend was find the nearest party, you're done.
And you know
That
that's not the person.
that is that. I don't need to hear another word more. You are done. That is it. Um, you know, I know that some people also don't present well either. So
Okay.
we give a little bit of leniency for somebody maybe a little bit nervous. I mean, you're coming in, all of these people, they know each other. So we
Yeah.
understand that aspect of things. Um, but, there's a wide array of things that we do to try to dig a little bit deeper, find out exactly who you are, and the intangibles that you're going to bring to the team. So,
Well, it's a lot that you're offering. So I guess you have to do your due diligence to make sure that
absolutely
you're finding that correct athlete, right?
right.
Yeah.
And the thing is too is that like I said, I am an open book too. I post a lot of my workouts online, and some people are
Okay.
like, "What? Why do you do that? What if one of the recruits doesn't like the workout?" I said, "Well, if they don't like it now, they're not going to like it when they're here, and then they're not going to have any fun. They're going to be miserable. Why
Right.
would I want to put somebody in that situation, right?"
Hmm.
So also from on the recruits end and the parents end, be authentic.
Yeah.
Like if you don't fit with us or we don't fit with you, like you have to understand that that's okay. I would rather know that now than get 2 years down the road and you're absolutely miserable because you presented yourself this way or we presented ourselves that way, and we there was miscommunication about what the expectations were, whatever the case may be, right? It's really important that you're able to be realistic with yourself and honest with yourself and say, is this what I want? Like, does
Yeah.
this make sense to me? There's a lot of people that want to come and go to the beach at FAU, but
Hey,
maybe
you're Boca Raton, right?
we're in Boca. I mean, who doesn't, right? Um, but you got to be honest. If you're a good fit for us, and we're a good fit for you, it goes both ways, honestly. So for a recruit, interviewing the coach is just as important as the other way around.
So, kind of finally, and actually, kind of just riding on the coattails of that conversation. Um, I want to ask you and kind of get your take on it. But to me, there, being having been a fitness coach or sports performance coach for Nike and for IMG back in the day, I could see the mindset of the kid that was a high school senior and may go to college on a scholarship. And then here's a kid who's 18 who literally was top 40 in the nation who was going to go pro at the same time Andy Roddick was going pro, who won the US Open and played in, whatever. So you can see this mindset of difference, right? From your perspective, what is the difference between the mindset of the college athletes you coach versus kind of the weekend warrior athlete or just the person who's not even an athlete who are just trying to make it in the world, but yet they're trying to figure out what should my mindset be like if I want to get this job promotion at work. Because to me, the mindset of the athlete is the mindset that's always looking for the next job promotion. They want to get ahead, whatever. How would you draw that demarcation line in your own words, Bob?
This one, to me, is a really easy one to answer,
Okay.
um, because everything that you do in your life is a decision that you make, right? You always, always, always have the power of decision. And it doesn't matter the situation that you're in. You could be in the world's worst situation, but if you decide that it's going to be something that you learn from, or something that makes you better, or something that makes you stronger, then it will make you better or it will make you stronger. If you decide that this difficult situation is going to be something that marks you as a failure, or that destroys your confidence, or whatever the case may be, right? You can decide to let that happen, right?
Okay.
So I say there's always two decisions that you can make. Okay, there's the decision of the wrong way, okay, or the easy way, excuse me,
Mm.
and the right way, right? And it's not, sorry, and I said it wrong. It's not the right way and the wrong way, right?
Hmm.
It's the right way or the easy way,
Okay.
okay? And so the right way looks a little bit differently too,
How
right?
so?
So the easy way is I'm going to stay in bed because it's warm and I just don't want to get up, right?
Okay.
But we know that the right way is put your feet on the floor, get up and get to the gym, right?
Gotcha.
What I always caution people about as well is that people like myself and I need to take a lesson out of my own book from time to time as well, is that we get so caught up in work, 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 that sometimes the easy way becomes work and the right way becomes rest.
Hmm.
Okay. And so you have to understand as a student athlete at this level that you need to allow time for your body to recuperate and your mind to recuperate as well. Okay, your mind recuperating is just as important as your body recuperating. I never allowed my mind to recuperate, right?
Hmm.
I rarely do. I still need to take that rest route sometimes, right?
Hmm.
But like I said, I pride myself on work hard, so that's hard for me,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so I think that with every decision that you make, you can say, I'm going to go the easy route or I'm going to go the right route. And when you are able to follow the right path and follow the right path and follow the right path, and you're able to build upon that, then that's when you get that mentality of, I have a goal and nothing is going to stop me from achieving that goal.
Hmm.
I think, I don't know, it's all about decisions that you make. It's all about what you decide that you want. Um, does this thing I want, promotion, or I want to be in shape, or I want to win this competition, or I want to be the best dad in the world, whatever, right? The decisions you make, is it the easy choice or is it the right choice that's going to help you become that? And
So the
kind of
mindset, in
hard
your
to
opinion,
differentiate.
so kind of you boiled it down. I think really it's actually pretty cool. So you boiled it down. It really comes down to just how the individual decides or what they decide or what they choose to decide. So really
Absolutely.
just decision making, period.
Yep. Yep. And it starts with putting your feet on the floor in the morning. Alarm goes
Okay.
off. What do you want to do? You can stay in bed an extra 10 minutes, or you can get 10 extra minutes at the gym, or you're going to get 10 extra minutes at the office,
Yep.
right? What do you want? If your goal is to be content, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But that's not what our conversation is about today, right?
That's
Our
correct.
our conversation is unlocking the mind of a champion, being an elite person who wants to be the best or wants to be their best, right? Some people are honestly going to be more talented and
Yeah.
they're going to have a better situation than you are. And maybe you don't get to be the best, but you can be your best. Like, don't ever let something stop
Mm,
you from being your best. Okay.
interesting. Yeah.
But when you find that goal, and what I find a lot of times, one of the conversation that's always reoccurring with collegiate student athletes is,
Okay.
I have this goal, and everything that I do gets lumped into one, and then it
Hmm.
becomes incredibly overwhelming, right?
Wow.
And it's so hard to see out of this fog and this daze that your head is in. You're like, oh, I know what I want. I need to do this. But all of these things that go into doing what I want to do are so overwhelming. It's so stressful. It's so much happening. But if you can break it down one decision at a time,
Okay.
and you can kind of almost compartmentalize that, right? Like, okay, this is what I need to do first, and then this is what I do after that, right? And
Interesting.
and
Okay.
and I am under the very firm belief that you will never be able to choose the right path every time. You
Okay.
can't, right? We're humans. We make mistakes. We have flaws. That's what
Mm.
makes us beautiful, right?
Yep.
Um, but the more times that you practice taking that right road, okay, the more
Hmm.
times in your brain you say, I'm going to make this decision instead of this decision. Instead of having this beer, I'm going to have a 16 ounces of water,
Yeah.
right? One decision. That's all you have to do, right? So
Hmm.
instead of letting the whole process of everything that's happening to get to your goal overwhelm you, take it minute by minute if you have to. Make those choices. Know that it's okay because you're not going to make all the right ones. And know that failure is part of the process because failure allows you to learn what you need to do differently the next time.
Hmm.
Okay? Because if you fail, guess what? You know you took the easy path, then you know what the right path is,
Yep.
right? If as long as you learn from that, then you can absolutely become a champion in whatever you want to be. Um, and looks different for a lot of different people. Um, but one of my big things is that you're gonna lay on your deathbed someday, right? And there's gonna be two people that judge you: the man upstairs and the person in your heart, right? And if
Okay.
at the end of the day you're on your deathbed and you are proud of who you are and what you've done, then who outside of what's in here can say anything about who you were as long as you understand that you did everything that you could to be the person that you wanted to be.
Very good insight, Ryan Bubb. Very good insight.
There we go.
I like it. I like it. Very
If you
good.
couldn't
So
tell,
we
I'm passionate about this.
no, I could tell, but you know what? That was once again. This is why I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since we first talked about it on the pool deck weeks and weeks ago, if not 2 or 3 months ago, was to get the coach's perspective in here, right? And so, no, appreciate your time. Appreciate your time. So, thank you for being with us. And we may want to come back at a time in the future to maybe drill down and maybe just hone in on. You brought up something very interesting that's about decision making, which actually touch base on coping skills in a way of by compartmentalizing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that being a whole conversation about the student athlete and how they manage life with
Yep.
their coping skills as a young adult. So I may want to come back and have a conversation about that sometime in the future.
I would absolutely love to. That's why I do what I do to help the young men and women under my care
Yep.
make the right choice more often
Very,
than the easy choice because that's
very
going to
good.
help you throughout the rest of your life. Like if I can leave you with that and you graduate and that's the only lesson that you take away from me, I feel like I've done my job pretty well.
Well spoken. Well spoken. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Very good.
All right.